My first question actually to what I would like to ask, can I have a quick show of hands who watched yesterday's last Formula One race? So I was there. Good, good, good. I see a number of Formula One fans. So for the others who are less familiar with Formula One, let me give you a bit of context. So there was this, heading into this last race, there were two drivers, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, who were equal in points. So basically it all came down to the last race. And in the last final lap, Verstappen basically beat his opponent and won the championship. So to be honest as well, I was never really a Formula One fan until I watched this series called the Netflix series actually Survive to Drive, and it's actually very very entertaining. I would definitely recommend all of you to watch it. If you like team strategy, if you like a little bit of technology innovations, if you like drama, if you like explosive crashes, it's all in there. So working on this presentation in preparation, I was thinking, well, there's maybe another industry that potentially can top the Formula One in terms of drama. So today, my presentation is about a new series, which is called Fast Pace Revive to Thrive. Before I go there, just a quick word about Euroconsult. So 2021 has been a very busy year across our 4 business lines. In terms of consulting, we've seen a lot of activity in our socioeconomic impact assessments, as well as a number of stories relating to new spaceports. And on the Satcom side, we had a number of contracts and activities, including commercial due diligence, contracting monitoring support, Gulf Satcom, a big topic as well today, and activities around satellite procurement support. In terms of market intelligence, we released 16 reports, and we also seen a definitely increase in the number of unique customers. So that means basically that there's a growing interest in our industry. We also launched a new business line called training. And in 2001, we performed what we call the masterclass of Euroconsult on specific topics. As well, we still do a lot of customized training program, especially for emerging space programs. In terms of summits, we hosted the first dedicated event on AI in space. And as well, this week, you will experience the first hybrid version of the World Satellite Business Week. But back to the topic. So why revive? Well, if you look at the picture here, the Satcom market, in terms of revenue, it looks pretty bleak in the last 4 or 5 years performance. So revenues are down, both on the operators level, the capacity level, as well on the service level. So about 7% if you compare 2020 to 2016. And actually, if you look at the numbers this year, we're still going to see the preliminary numbers also show a slight decrease. So why is that? You have to break it down really between 2 parts of the Satcom business. So the data part actually sees quite significant growth. Here we, if you point out, it's about, on the service level, it's even about more than 25% growth. But that growth actually is not offsetting the losses on the video side. So probably all aware, like Netflix and other OTT solutions are creeping into the traditional satellite linear services market. That really resulted in a loss of DTH subscribers, that really causing this significant drop and overall decrease of the total revenue in the Satcom market. I think the industry overall has acknowledged this trend and started to kind of embrace and look at how to revive the Satcom ecosystem across 3 pillars. So first of all, you have the innovation, and in here I think we really have to point out to this trend of hyper trend of digitalization of the Satcom network. It doesn't only focus on the space side, like satellite-defined satellites, software-defined satellites, but also into the ground with virtualization, SD-WAN, and other type of cloud kind of connectivity solutions. But also on the application level, we see much more development into the digital side. Hand in hand goes as well in improving cost efficiency in terms of the infrastructure being built and the services being launched. And finally, we're starting to see new service introduced into the market. So cloud-based solutions being one of them, but also the low latency broadband. The other part of the puzzle basically is the business models, and we really see a change here in the operators' strategies. So first, we see obviously this trend towards a greater adoption of managed services and end-to-end services. But also on the wholesale level, we see a change from the take-or-pay, the traditional take-or-pay leases, to what we call the pay-as-you-go or more revenue share model. So operators in general are taking much more an approach to share the market risk with their distributors and partners. Key question and key focus of the market assessment is well with how to create scale. So with the new use cases being developed, how to really drive and bring more value and create more value into the Satcom market. Third point is definitely the M&A and restructuring, which we have all probably have seen over the last 16 to 18 months. First of all, there's a significant peak in terms of fundraising and investment, which is partly fueled by the SPACs, as well as the US C-band clearing payments. But overall, we kind of see the start of a growing trend towards vertical and horizontal integration. So this picture here shows you kind of the major transactions that happened over the last 16, 18 months. And again, the two overarching trends here are the horizontal consolidation, so either on the operators level or on the service providers level. But over more importantly, this growing push towards vertical integration, where, for example, the Interset acquisition of GoGo is an illustrious example. But obviously, that's not all in the competitive landscape. We have to talk about the new entrants and NGSO constellations entering the market. If we look at the picture here, which is kind of interesting, this shows the smallsats launch forecast, and two constellations, OneWeb and SpaceX, basically, present the lion's share of the total satellites being launched over the next decade. So OneWeb is now surpassed this year 50% of the satellites being launched of their first generation, and SpaceX is even already have more than 1,700 satellites actively in orbit. So although service started already for SpaceX, for example, on Starlink, we really expect this service ramp up to really accelerate in the course of 2022, and then follow on with another number of constellations coming into the market in the years after. Obviously, it's not only about geo these days. Let's say the geo market is not sitting duck. We look at the geo ComSet market. If you look at the ComSet orders, I think two major points stick out. First of all, obviously, the year to date, there's still a few weeks left, so maybe there's a few more announcements to come. But today we are about 10 geo ComSet orders, which is clearly a low compared to previous years, and also to mention that last year was pretty immediately a surge due to the C-band satellite orders. But from those 10 satellites, 60%, so 6 of them, are software-defined satellites. So that's clearly the trend, and it's all kind of digital satellite solutions. They enable this flexibility, and it's flexibility at all kind of levels. So think about flexibility in terms of coverage, in terms of bandwidth allocation, in terms of frequency. So it really gives the opportunity for the operator to change the satellite over its 15 years kind of orbit and lifetime. So this week we'll have a lot of discussions as well about the ground segment, critically important, especially in relation to the NGSO market, where the flat panel antenna technology is crucial and critical to close the communication link. So a lot of developments there. We expect still maybe a few years to really kind of have a diverse and robust set of flat panel technology solutions available. They're already available on the market. But again, to have a fully encompassing portfolio, still a few years away. There are some initial issues as well in terms of chipset that could delay potentially some of the developments, at least in high volumes. And the second very interesting trend is what's kind of key is this multi-orbit antenna, which basically means that a single antenna would be able to roam into a GEO and a LEO network. So we've seen a number of successful field tests conducted in 2021, and we're looking forward to see how that type of technology can be deployed in the coming years. Equally important, next to the antennas, is the baseband equipment. So here again, we also see this moving towards software-defined units, as well as for this increasing push for standardization. And that's all very important in the context of 5G, where satellite wants to be a critical component in converging with the terrestrial network and provide a true 5G experience. So again, these developments should all drive to being implemented in the coming years. Another kind of technology trend here we see is the edge computing, which also provide a more economic use of the volume and bandwidth on the different networks. So what does it mean? Much more competition and definitely resulting in a spectacular growth in terms of capacity supply. So if you look at our forecast, our latest forecast, which stands at about 41 terabits per second capacity being available by 2025. Look as well at the pink bar, which represents the NGSO part of it. So definitely the majority of the capacity to be launched in the coming years. And also basically what this means that there will be low cost capacity supply being available globally at every corner of the globe. So this capacity needs to find a market, and obviously you can think about a number of use cases. If you want to focus on the two major market opportunities, it's about two things: connecting the unconnected and mobile broadband. Unpacking those particular opportunities, I think you can all, you've probably all read about the 3 billion people unconnected today. Our research shows that up to 700 million of those people are basically addressable by satellite. So taking into account affordability, terrestrial network deployments, illiteracy, you get still a very solid base of 700 million being directly addressable. Today, only 6% of those 700 million are dependent on satellite for their and having a satellite connection. So today there are 3 satellite solutions available to address that opportunity. So on the one hand, you have the residential broadband. So here you think about deployments done by Viasat, Hughes, Eutelsat, as well as Starlink, primarily targeting this market segment. And then you have new solutions like the Wi-Fi hotspots, which basically allows you to share the cost of the terminal with multiple users, which helps as well, particularly to be more affordable in countries with lower purchasing power. And we see definitely uptake in markets like Mexico, Brazil, and Indonesia on those solutions. And then there's cellular backhaul, which is more of the traditional satellite solution where you basically use a satellite link to extend the network of an MNO. So that's one market opportunity. The other key opportunity is the mobile broadband. Here again, we identified about 250,000 vessels and planes that are currently beyond the reach of terrestrial networks. 15% today are connected. So again, a lot of upside potential in connecting more merchant ships, more commercial jets, more UAVs, and other type of moving platforms. So increasing the penetration of the addressable market is a part of the growth story, but it's not all. The other very important part is growing the data rate requirement. Clearly, you could state that satellite still today solutions partly underserve the requirement of end users today. We've seen already a growth in the data rate requirements, but looking forward in the next 3 years, we would definitely expect with the growing availability of capacity, the data rate to increase at least three times in a number of those market segments. So all enabled by this growing availability of lower cost capacity supply. So we have basically growing penetration, growing data rate. Obviously, this should lead to increase in the capacity leased. So our latest forecast now projects about 15 terabits per second of capacity being launched, being leased by 2030. And if you look at the different market segments, we expect that the fixed broadband, which basically includes the connecting the unconnected plus the enterprise connectivity solutions, to be the dominant market segment, followed by the mobile broadband opportunity, as well as the good old video, which still represents a significant part in terms of value contribution. So this is a story of satellite. I hope you would look forward with me to a number of our sessions today that will definitely dive more into these topics that I discussed today. So I thank you for your attention and wish you a great World Satellite Business Week.